Okay, thanks, everybody. I'm going to make a motion to return from tonight's executive session at 7:54 PM.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
I'm going to make a motion to call a special meeting on May 27th at 7 PM. Need a second.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Okay, Town Hall summer hours. Let's see. So, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe makes a motion to approve the 2026 employee summer hours for Town Hall, which are Monday through Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. through 5 p.m. with a 30-minute lunch, and Thursdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with 1 hour lunch, and Town Hall will be closed on Fridays. This will be effective beginning the week of June 28th, with normal business hours of Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., resuming Tuesday, October 13th, 2026. So all town offices are closed Monday, October 12th in observance of Columbus Day, and there is a modified schedule of June 15th and June 29th for June 10th and Independence Day holiday. And our hours are, as always, are posted on our website.
Supervisor, I just want to clarify. I thought you mentioned beginning the week of June 28th.
Is that not what I said? It says June 8th.
Okay.
Yes,
I just
thank
wanted
you.
to confirm. Thank you.
So we have the Music for Humanity gaming
We
application.
need a second?
Oh, sorry, we resolved and we need a second.
Rivera will
Hingham
second.
You beat me.
Rivera got it. Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
So moved. New business, let's see. Music for Humanity gaming application. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe makes a motion to approve the 2026 Music for Humanity gaming license for the Town of Monroe. They are a nonprofit that does raffles. Need a second.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Yes, discussion. We don't need a formal resolution. Motion is fine.
I'm sorry. What
Do
was
we
it?
Do we
need
need a
a
resolution or a motion for the gaming
gaming?
Yeah,
license?
just a motion.
Just motion? Thank you. Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
So the Conservation Commission resignation, Lauren Kelly unfortunately has put in a letter of resignation. So we have actually, for those interested in the room, I believe two, Val? Do we have two open spots on the Conservation Commission?
Yes.
Okay, so again, for open spots for the town, we have zoning alternates, planning alternates, and now two open seats on the Monroe Conservation Commission. So I will make the motion to accept Lauren Kelly's letter of resignation and thank her for all of her hard work for the town.
Will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
So we have a renewal proposal for Millennium Strategies. I'm going to propose that we renew this despite the fact that it was removed from the town budget, and that we will do a filed budget amendment soon, which will also likely reflect the changes in revenue from the county, depending on how long that situation lasts. But we have had enough personnel changes and contract changes to warrant a filed budget amendment, so keep an eye out for that. You guys have a packet before you that identifies, what Millennium has helped the town with over the years, what goals that they have set for the town, and what applications that they hope to secure us, and it is many millions in funds, and they make, the grant providing process more streamlined and attainable for our administration. So I'm going to make the motion.
Who else needs to
Actually,
make
I
that?
can't because I have to sign it. Mary, you want to do it?
No, because I want.
Oh, you want to
I'll
discuss
second.
Millennium, okay. Someone else has to make the motion.
Make the motion.
Bingham, second for discussion. I'm a little leery at renewing it right now. As you said, we still have a lot of budget questions, especially with the county cutting back its revenue to the town. And I know that Magui Hauser Etzel can do some of the grants, and I think we should just at least wait until you know more about the budget. I'm not ready to approve it tonight.
I think that's highly irresponsible. As I just mentioned, we would miss out on literally millions of dollars in revenue, and we would not be able to attain basically any grant funding without
Right,
Millennium.
but a lot of the deadlines are not like this week. A
They
lot of the
actually are
deadlines.
coming this summer for
They are coming
particularly
this summer,
water
true.
districts.
But I think we could postpone it, especially since we're having another meeting on the 27th.
I don't think that we can postpone it because we have several applications in the pipeline for grant business. And Magui Hauser Etzel does not do grant writing for no additional cost. And they are more expensive per hour than Millennium is because it's a base contract fee.
Per month, they would be cheaper if
They
we
would
only had
not.
like 3 grants.
If
you know.
you ask any person who's signing vouchers, like myself and Bill Brown, where all the money goes, it is Magui Hauser Etzel. Not to say that they are not worth the money, but that is
That is not for writing grants, that's for doing engineering.
It's engineering,
It's
yes.
engineering.
Yes, so to pay them an additional hourly rate to do grants when that's, I mean, there's a group called the Bears that does both engineering and grants, who I have a successful relationship with, but these people have been working with the town nonstop and have helped our new administration do so much and put in these same grants that you yourself have promised water district constituents over and over when they have come to the town. The only solution
Said we've
that we've
applied,
had.
I've never promised them they're going to get a grant.
Yeah,
Because
you
there's
promised to
always a chance
apply.
that they're not going to qualify.
And we
They
can't
don't
even
have
promise
enough
we
points.
apply
We can
anymore.
apply for grants, but I have never said to a water district, oh yeah, you're getting a grant. I
Nobody
we're
said you
getting-
promised money.
I
We
said you're
promised
applying
grant
for a grant, that's
applications.
it.
Exactly, and you can't promise that anymore if we don't have Millennium. If we can't
I
even
can
work to
promise it
achieving,
if we have Magui Hauser Etzel do
they're
it.
not going to do this for the same rate as Millennium. They're going to charge a higher rate. They have a higher customer base. They are not even able to give us a one-on-one attention as is.
Please don't use that back door.
Yeah, Abe.
Or if you could just please pull the door, just pull it all the way. Thank you.
Again, this is a highly irresponsible move, and I've already earmarked funds from which the Millennial contract should come from. And I don't feel that Councilwoman Bingham is being objective on this because she essentially wants to spend the $40,000 that's earmarked for the checkerboard on knocking down the historic checkerboard in a time when we need to focus on getting revenue
You brought
and
up the
grants.
checkerboard. I was not going to bring up the
Well, I'm
checkerboard.
talking about where the money is currently allocated and where I identified
And
that
that's
to
why
the
I
members
still
of the
say,
board.
we still don't know where the money from the county is going to come from or not come from. I know Mr. Tui was here earlier. I don't know if he's still here, but maybe we could have him speak. But I'm ready to vote.
I would just really recommend that we stick with our planning strategies as we be heading down constituents.
You could bring it up again next month.
So I made the motion. I need a second, right?
I did the
Mary
second.
seconded.
You did do a second for discussion. I guess I can call the question and ask that this be renewed because this is a vital piece to town function. This is something we use every day. Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, nay.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, nay.
So because there's no tiebreaker, this will have to be postponed. Sal has missed another meeting that is 4 in a row. So we will just add that to the special meeting agenda, I guess.
Thank you.
And also, I feel that you should have asked MHE for their actual quote before bringing and volunteering that they could do this for cheaper. Because without actual facts in front of us, I feel that the board members are making some lofty assertions.
Want to do 6.5?
So be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe authorizes the adoption and execution of the Federal Transit Administration fiscal year 2026 certifications and assurances as required for participation in federally funded transit programs. And be it further resolved that, oh, nope, you have to do it. So just, what is the word when I read the motion, she's adopting it, and then she's adding another clause? Because I have to sign it.
So moved.
Make the motion, Mary.
Okay, I'll make the motion. She's going to read it.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
Be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute all documents and certifications necessary to effectuate said certifications and assurances on behalf of the town of Monroe.
I'm,
Stevens will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Okay, that's all. Val, was there anything from floor? Okay, we're going to begin public comment. I just want to remind everyone of the rules for public comment. Basically, everyone gets 3 minutes. Please respect everyone in the room. Please limit your language to anything that will be filmed and posted on public broadcast. Please keep the subject matter relating to town business. We are not allowed to discuss politics, so if you're asking election-related questions or political questions, we won't be able to answer, and it's also prohibited for the public to bring them up at the dais according to the rules. So we just ask that the commentary be respectful as per the rules and limited, again, to town business and respectful of one's neighbors. So who is the first up?
I'm going to read the first speaker, followed by the second speaker. If you'll then please come up to the mic, speak clearly into the mic, announce your name. Please leave the mic in its stand. First speaker is Rhonda Avila. I don't think she's here. Second speaker is Iris Conk, and that will be followed by Tomm LaPola.
Mic's on, right?
My name is Iris Conk, and I'm at 44 East Crossman Avenue, Monroe. I saw in the photo news that the IMA was signed with Woodbury for animal control, this sign. Is that still only for dogs, or is cats going to be included?
So typically we wait until public comment is done to answer questions, but I did nod that we are currently trying to renew our Woodbury IMA for the animal shelter for the dogs. However, we have not actually signed. We approved it to be signed per the attorney's fine details, and we're waiting on Woodbury's negotiation. It's our hope that it be signed, but it is only a continuation of dogs, no additional cat services.
Okay. There's many people in the areas, in different areas in Monroe that are caring for colonies of feral cats and community cats. And in my neighborhood as well, I've helped with that. And would it be possible to get cats included in this IMA, or to get a separate IMA with Woodbury for the cats? It would be very nice for the cats that are being TNR'd to have a comfortable place to recuperate after being spayed or neutered before being returned or being held for socialization and adoption. I work at the Warwick Valley Humane Society, and we frequently get calls from the Monroe residents asking us to take their cats. I feel bad about this because they're out of our service area, so there isn't much that we can do for them. It would be great if the citizens of Monroe had a safe place to bring their homeless cats. Thank you.
Iris.
Next speaker is Tomm LaPola, followed by Carol Scully.
Good evening. Tomm LaPola, Town of Monroe resident, 38 years. Now, I know there's got to be others here tonight who will be addressing the new liaison position, so I'll be brief. But regarding your opening statements, it makes me more, I appreciate being here more to speak out against it. Demographic shifts are quite common in communities across our melting pot of a nation. Sometimes those shifts transition smoothly, sometimes not so smoothly. And the shift which we are witnessing in our community has experienced both. And this shift did not start recently either. It started with the formation of Curious Joel in 1977, almost 50 years ago. Now, I understand there's a language and cultural gap amongst many of our new residents, specifically the Sidham community, which I don't necessarily understand because many of these families have been here since the inception of KJ. Did they not make any individual or community efforts to close that gap prior to the creation of this new position? One cannot help but wonder that this position was created for political reasons. Now, I'm not stating that's a fact, but to most, perception is reality. Again, I said I'd be brief, so I'll leave you with this. Imagine moving to this beautiful community as a young couple with no family or friends nearby to help, only the good folks of Monroe. You volunteer and contribute to this community to the best you can for years with the hope that maybe your children can raise their families here as well. But because of that large demographic shift, not only will your children not be able to stay, but you also lose that sense of community which brought you to Monroe in the first place. You also lose any say in the governance of your community because that shift created a very large voting bloc. Because of that cultural gap, which many make no efforts to close, mind you, you feel it's best to move out of the town where you planted your roots 12 years after that demographic shift began. Then you find out that the new board recently created this new liaison position to accommodate that very same large voting bloc. Now, if you don't see either the conflict here or the angst amongst many of this community with the creation of this new position, I respectfully suggest you are out of touch with many of us in this community. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Thanks, Tom.
Carol Scully, followed by Kevin Scully.
Carol Scully. I know there's been a lot of talk regarding the appointment of a new liaison/member of the Board of Assessment Review and the installation of streetlights on Seven Springs Road. I would like to thank Y.M. Lowry for his article in the Daily Monroe paper and Councilperson Stevens for letting the cat out of the bag. It triggered some very revealing comments from our town supervisor. And now that the cat is out of the bag, I would like to know, are there any other backroom promises that were made before the last election that the public should know about? Advocating for voters is leadership. Trading official action for personal or political benefit is corruption, quid pro quo. The perception is there. Lights for votes, maybe. A liaison for votes, maybe. Maybe it's time to investigate. Regarding the lights in Seven Springs Road, as Ms. Stevens stated, wouldn't it have been wise to do an assessment to determine where streetlights are really needed before making some backdoor promise? And also, where's the money coming from? Are the lights that will be servicing Seven Springs Road all in the town of Monroe? I don't know. Does it overlap into the town of Palm Tree? And if so, who's paying for that? You can always count on this. Once trust is broken, sometimes it can never be repaired. When commitments are made behind closed doors, the public begins to question if their votes really matters. The board has lost the trust of many people in Monroe. I, and I'm sure many people in this town, are sick and tired and disgusted at being called anti-Semitic for expressing concern for possible irresponsible building. The questions about the Round Lake property have absolutely nothing to do with the people of the Hasidic community or their religion. It is a blatant destruction of our once beautiful landscape. That is the issue. Just take a ride through South Blooming Grove. It could happen here, and people are concerned. It's a lack of following a process with no consequences, a process that all the residents of Monroe are legally bound to follow when building or renovating. That's why we have a building inspector and our zoning and planning boards. Rules are made to be followed, not broken. So please stop the race baiting and focus on the real issues. Find a way to stop the unsustainable building. Monroe, as we know it, depends on it. People of Monroe, your vote does count, every single one of them. Our voting turnout is deplorable. Never say it's too late. We would not be in this mess if the residents came out to vote in the last election. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Kevin Scully, followed by Dory Hall.
Kevin Scully, Town of Monroe. Full disclosure, I'm also a member of the Zoning
Zoning Board of Appeals. I want to go back to when you appointed I forgot his name.
Tommy Lando.
In what world did the board not think it was a good idea to also mention that that person is also a liaison to the Hasidic community? There's nothing wrong with having a liaison, and there's nothing wrong with him being appointed to the Board of Assessment. But in what world did you not think everybody would freak out when a media publication, an actual media publication, not some political blogger, actually brought it up and said that also we're getting all new streetlights? Where did you guys think that was not going to go over very well? I don't understand that at all. You created a perception of corruption by doing that, and comments made on social media implying that these decisions were made before the election. You made those comments. That is perception of corruption. Also, you all kind of ran on a board, a platform of working together and transparency. That was certainly not transparent. But also in regards to the Zoning Board of Appeals, recently the board fired the attorney, Dave McCartney. You never came and talked to anybody on the Zoning Board of Appeals to ask our opinion on it, consult us on it. We weren't even told he was being fired. I found out 2 days later through a third party. And separately, Dave McCartney did not even know he was fired. He found out 3 days later through a third party.
So, again, typically we don't go back and forth, but you are a member of the town, and when we're confronted with misinformation from a town member, I do have to say, Noreen McSweeney is not here to vouch for us because she's passed away, but no, we knew that Dave McCartney was leaving us, and so did Dave. Pretty much, he knew confirmedly weeks in advance, and he suspected months in advance.
He suspected.
Yeah, no,
He
but
didn't
he
actually find out he was
confirmedly
fired.
knew weeks in advance. We had told him that he was to finish up the last round of projects that had been a carryover from the prior administration, and also Chip knew. So I'm apologizing that you're a member of the board, but you're not the chair of the board. You are not the
My
planning
understanding
board,
that-
zoning board secretary, and you are not the
Well, that's
attorney.
not very transparent when working together.
How is it not transparent that the people who, we made a board resolution to let Dave go? We transitioned to a new team. We had
Oh,
discussed
but you
with
were all about
Dave.
working together.
Excuse me?
You were all about working together.
We
You
did
guys
work
ran on a
together
platform on that.
to make the motion to.
When you say working together, you mean you guys working together, but nobody else working together with you?
Again, Chip and Noreen and I all discussed the direction that we were taking the zoning board.
So was it told that that night he was going to be voted on and fired?
Was Dave informed?
Yeah.
Dave and Noreen and I had a conversation
That
a
night
week
that
or
was gonna
two
happen.
before. A week or two before, yes.
That on that night he was going to be fired?
On that meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, it was the final meeting that those projects were finished out, and the next meeting was supposed, before Noreen passed, was supposed to be all new hearings and projects.
Well, I have pretty much information very much to that
Me and
contrary.
Dave spoke after Noreen's
Okay.
death, so
Again, perceptions.
you're talking about individuals who are not central to decisions demanding to know information that was done at a board meeting.
So just being a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals doesn't require, say, hey, listen, we're thinking about getting a new attorney. How do you feel about that? It's going to directly affect your work. Find out 3 days later?
We addressed it with Noreen, we addressed it with Chip. That is the department head's responsibility to then go and speak about it. The decision for new representation, personnel, employees, liaisons, are all within the board's authority to decide.
Again, not being very public with everything. With
We
the
were
lia-
very
you wanna
public
bring up
when we
liaison again,
made
you were not
the
public with that at all.
resolution to appoint David Chen and replace Barak Jim
Okay, well, you just
McConaughey.
brought up the liaison again. I don't know why you're bringing that up again, because you were not open about that.
I was very open with that to the people who I actually work with on a day-to-day basis.
And again, during a town board meeting, when that same liaison was appointed, which I have absolutely no problem with being appointed to any board. Any member of this community should be appointed to any board that seems fit. How nobody thought it was a good idea in that meeting to bring that up. I didn't want to go back there again, but you brought it up again.
We don't talk about relationships of who knows who and who knows how and why whenever we
An
appoint
appointed
someone.
liaison is not,
No, it's a supervisor's liaison. It's a volunteer
I know you're
position.
allowed to do it,
Yeah, so
but you ran on a platform of transparency and
if it was
openness.
in a newspaper, how is it not transparent? But again, I
3
know
days later.
we're accidentally going
3
back
days
into
later.
the flesh of your public comment rather than the town. That is why I
But
addressed
3 days
it.
later, you keep interrupting me. I was ready to say thank
If
you.
you want to continue
walk away.
speaking, I said I wanted to address your comments as a zoning board of appeals member.
And then you went back to the liaison.
I know, and I apologize for that, and I want to focus on the actual town matters at hand. It's disappointing that someone on the
That is a
zoning
town
board
board,
of
that is a town
appeals-
matter. Your
You're not
perception of corruption
employed-
is a town
You are
matter.
not employed to tell the board what personnel decisions that we make. And a
I'm not telling you
zoning board of
what to
appeals
do, what not
member
to do.
has
I'm saying
never
you were not
weighed
open
in
about it. I have
on
the floor,
council.
and you were not open about it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you should not have appointed that personal liaison.
We discussed with Dave, we gave Dave the opportunity to bid, we decided not to go with Dave.
Okay.
So
I
that's all I
heard
can tell
very
you.
much differently.
Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you.
Considering what I've already seen, I think I know which way I'm going.
Right.
Dory Hool, followed by Mike Egan.
Good evening, Dory Hool, Village of Monroe. I have a few things, so I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible. First of all, back in December, we had a motion before the board in which we asked to have the Rye Hill property dedicated to parkland. That motion was tabled. There was no old business tonight. That would have been a great opportunity for you guys to bring up dedicating the Rye Hill property to parkland so that it could be dedicated with something that has a bit more teeth than just a permissive referendum. That's one. Two, you have vacancies on the Board of Ethics. I would like to see those vacancies appear on also old business so that you can appoint members to those vacancies. You still have an active member, you still have a Board of Ethics. It would be important for us to keep that. Number three, I am a prior member of the Board of Assessment Review, and I will tell you that we saw a whole lot more than 10 applications per year. When we sat there, we might have seen 10 people. There might have been maybe 10 actual residents who came to us on that grievance day, but there were at least 30 applications that we went through that were not associated with a resident sitting in front of us. The last thing that I wanted to bring up, this is directed to the youngest supervisor in the town of Monroe.
Happy to serve.
I'm talking, so I have the floor right
ahead.
now. So the youngest supervisor in the town of Monroe, I received several text messages recently with some screenshots of a post that you wrote on, I see the smirk on your face, with a post that you wrote on Preserve Monroe in your official capacity as town supervisor. And the reason that they were sent to me is because I was named in this post. So I went to go search it, and I couldn't find it. I can find Preserve Monroe, but I cannot find anything anywhere that Maureen Richardson posts on Facebook. Not on Monroe Matters. I see comments on different Monroe Matters posts where people react to something that Maureen has said, but I can't see the initial comment. And I suddenly realized I'm blocked. I'm blocked from seeing your posts. So imagine this, you are, much to my dismay, and difficult for me to admit, you are my town supervisor. And I am a tax-paying citizen of the town and the village of Monroe. And you are blocking me from seeing your posts on social media, which the Supreme Court has ruled that public officials cannot do that. They cannot block their constituents. So, seeing as though I cannot
Thank you so much for your time.
keep me out of your posts, you may not use my name. I
Do
am
you
no
want to be
longer
my
a public
Facebook
official.
friend, Dory?
Michael Egan, followed by Dan Burke.
Thank you. Please, the next public comment.
Michael Egan. Michael Egan, followed by Dan Burke.
So I'm going to ask a few rhetorical questions. Please don't respond because I'll run out of time. So my name's Mike Egan. I live in the town for a long time. This Jewish liaison, that name is a terrible name. It's terribly inaccurate, right? We have lots of Jewish folks in this town, liberal, conservative, Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox, sects within that. You've appointed a liaison to the Satmar Hasidics. Why don't you call it that? What are you hiding? Why don't you call it what it is? Why don't you have one for the other religions? Obvious question. Why don't you have one for Hispanics? You're favoring one religious group over the others by providing greater access to them. That's what it's all about, access to you, access to other officers, officials. It's arguably a violation of the First Amendment of the United States, which prohibits government from doing exactly that. It's also a violation of your code of ethics. I know it well. I was chair of the code of ethics. It's a violation of it. The whole purpose of the code of ethics is to foster confidence in you. This does the opposite of that. Much of the public sees this, you've already heard it, for what it is, which is favoring one group. It may have been an appointment by one of you. It reflects badly on all four of you, very badly. You're all responsible. You could all overturn it if you wanted to. And, you know, it undermines confidence in government, especially in this case, because three of you were in large part elected by that very voting bloc that now has a liaison. Looks bad, guys, really bad. Second issue is Round Lake Park. I live in Round Lake. I live in Round Lake Park. Those of us who live in Round Lake Park, who live in Interlochen area, who live in other community houses on the lake, are concerned about this turn of events here. What's happening in there is the usual precursor to development. Go out and look at that property. I know that Maureen has, I don't know if the others have. It's steep. It comes down with streams into precious wetlands brimming with aquatic life. In the hands of a developer who prioritizes the environment, it's tricky. The effect on the lake could be disastrous. In the hands of one who doesn't, who's has a greater priority to put housing there than protect the environment, it could be disastrous. And we get one shot at it. You know, if it's done improperly, there's no going back. So we depend on you to be vigilant, to be active, not sit back and say, don't worry about it, don't look at the man behind the curtain. You got to be out there, you got to see what's happening, you got to enforce all codes, all permitting, all zoning, and we rely on you to do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Dan Burke, followed by Eli Schwartz.
Yeah, hi, Dan Burke, elder statesman. Rye Hill.
No, he's first and
Dan
then
Burke
you.
and then you. Thank you.
Okay. Dan Burke, elder statesman, Rye Hill Road, Village Monroe, Town of Monroe. And what happened recently, there was a posting online about the driveway, the gravel, the gates. Our town supervisor went out there multiple times, took the building inspector out there, took the highway superintendent out there, and then responded online to every posting that somebody came up. So this is the kind of government that I voted for. This is what I want in a town supervisor, someone who knows what's going on, gets out there and does something about it. And there's some difficulties in the town of Monroe We have a mixed population. Some of our new neighbors live across from me, and wonderful neighbors. And one thing people forget, these new neighbors pay the school tax, the Monroe-Woodbury Central School District. It could be $10,000, $12,000. They pay it. And then they go and pay tuition for their own yeshivas. So we should be welcoming them because they're keeping the school budget balanced. And we got to find some way of having less hostility towards our new neighbors. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Eli Schwartz, followed by Carol Hawkshurst.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for giving me the time. I'm not going to comment or address any of the politics or the rhetoric that's been going on because, first of all, I don't feel it's my place and it's not something I want to voice. And also, honestly, I'm not even familiar. I truly didn't even know that there were posts or anything like that until this afternoon. So I just want to comment on Shlomi specifically. If anyone in this room can comment on him from a really not biased perspective, I believe it would be me. I am Shlomi's neighbor. I don't know him from a Facebook post. I know him as a person. I know his wife, I know his kids. He's a hardworking person. He gets up every morning, early morning, goes to work, and he's truly a loving dad. He is the type of neighbor you want to have. He's the type of person in the community that truly cares a lot. He's a person that is always there to help others. From what I understand, all that was done here was he was given a liaisonship position. I'm not even familiar with what board membership he was given and what powers he has, but from what I understand, there isn't a lot of power attached to that. It's merely an advisory role. I don't understand the uproar, and I'm not going to comment on that, but I will say one thing. I have had a lot of conversations with my non-Jewish neighbors, and it is very difficult for a community to embrace people that don't look like them. It is a challenge that a lot of communities have all over this country. It will never be solved by trying to hate. It cannot be solved by fanning the flames. It can only be solved by really trying to see that at the end of the game, we're all humans, even though we don't really dress alike or if our languages, might be different. I have a lot of friends that are my neighbors that aren't Jewish, and we get along great. We're not here with any motives, we're not here with any agendas, and Shlomi is truly here to serve the community. And frankly, if he will be stopped, he will continue serving the community, but our non-Jewish neighbors will not benefit of a person like him. And again, I encourage people to have one-on-one conversations and try to really step back from the rhetoric. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol Hawkshurst, followed by Abraham Floor.
Good evening. Carol Hawkshurst, Monroe, New York. A little off topic, but it's been a topic that's been brought up here before the town for quite some time, even with the previous board. And I haven't heard much being discussed about it. So one of the things I did want to ask about is what's going on with the comprehensive plan. I know there was money distributed from the previous board for that. I'm hearing a lot of, there's no money left in the fund, but I believe there was money allocated for that specifically. In addition to that, and the reason why I bring up the comprehensive plan, for those of you who aren't sure what that is, it's really just looking at specific zoning laws that are that could be updated at this point, amongst other things. So that really should be looked at with the population growth in our town. My understanding is there is an additional $500,000 in the fund through excess in taxes with the water bill or something like that.
No, that was addressed. It says it's not.
Okay, so you could clarify that maybe once I'm
We
done.
did, it's in prior meetings. I can send that to you via email.
Okay, but I'd like just to hear, if I could,
After
quick
Thursday.
response.
Yep, thank you.
So, next question I have. You are appointing a treasurer, correct? Yes or no? Are you appointing a treasurer? No. For the town? No? I'm asking that because I know you have a budget officer, a deputy budget officer, and I thought you were appointing a treasurer. If that's not the case,
Oh,
then-
we have a bookkeeper. We are looking for a bookkeeper.
And
to
you haven't gotten someone yet?
supervisor. It's a civil service position, and we are still searching. So if you know anyone who's interested or qualified in this room,
Okay.
if anyone knows, we're still searching for a bookkeeper.
So, and I appreciate, that you were asking for money to fill that position in the interim. So I'm wondering, though, is that some of that money going to go back once you do hire somebody for that position? The $15,000 increase that you got for your salary?
Those are not related, but I can address that in comment.
Okay.
I'll just address it now
Oh.
because everyone wants to talk about one item, and I feel it's fair to address yours because they're completely separate comments. Sorry, everyone. We had a budgeted amount for a bookkeeper who had been here, how many years? Almost 10 years, let's say, and was extremely qualified. So we set her salary at a certain, I'll let you finish your comments, but at a certain budgeted amount, and then she vacated that position. The budget officer stipend that had always been given in the last decade that I'm aware of was removed from the budget. And so were also other personnel matters, so there were several stipends, vacated roles, smaller sums of money that we just allocated to restoring the budget officer stipend. But traditionally, how it has been personnel-wise is that there are two account clerks in the finance department, a bookkeeper to the supervisor making a larger sum of money. One is a full-time account clerk, one is a part-time account clerk. I would be the full-time budget officer receiving that stipend, responsible for the actual budgets. Bookkeepers do annual financial reports, bank recs, other day-to-day extremely detailed financial tasks for a town of the first class. And your question is, where's the money going for her salary? We're currently trying to find a bookkeeper and match, hopefully, that level of qualification. We can offer a similar salary. If we don't find one, we would allocate a lower salary, and that's where that money
So you
would
are
go.
going to stay as the budget officer?
Yeah, those things
For
have
the
always
year.
existed
Okay.
in tandem with each other, yes.
Okay. And then you'll have a treasurer along with a deputy budget officer, and then your position
A
as budget
bookkeeper.
officer.
Those
and a
things have
and a
always
bookkeeper.
existed. Have
No
always
treasurer,
existed.
though.
No treasurer.
treasurer,
Those,
okay.
those positions have always existed in the last 10 years of the town
Okay.
together.
All right, so you give me a few more minutes. Lastly, I'm going to bring up what a lot of people have brought up previous to me.
I'm sorry, Valerie, how many seconds when I interrupted her did she have left? I think it was only 30, but
It's
okay.
going to be, honestly, it's going to be quick.
Okay.
I personally believe in equity for all. I'm not being selective. I've work in a occupation where I see many Spanish-speaking families going through what you're describing. Families who can't afford to pay their water bill. They don't have anyone to represent them because they only speak Spanish. And it's very difficult in the job that I have. because there's a shortage of bilingual positions in the field I'm in, without saying what I do. And it's challenging. So I'm wondering if you would consider that as well. Because again, it's equity for all. I assume what you're saying is that they only speak Yiddish, and that would be something that would be helpful. All right, and I'll talk about other stuff
Yep.
another time.
Thank you. To just address multiple people who have brought up Hispanic liaison, I don't mean to let the cat out of the bag, but in case you hadn't noticed, we have Luis Rivera right there. We have Ed Morales in the audience, in our supervisor of transportation, who I believe speaks a little bit of Spanish. Our deputy clerk, Mildred Torres, also is bilingual. My secretary to the supervisor, Stephen Mahano, is also bilingual. So we have multiple departments already taking care and fully employed on servicing the Hispanic community. So thank you. Now it is are we done with public comment?
Anthony Floor, followed by
Oh.
Jacob Bickle.
Abraham Floor.
I'm sorry, Abraham.
Good evening, all. Abraham Floor, residents of Monroe. For me, it's long overdue to congratulate all of you. It's already 5 months, 4 months in the job. And I met all of you prior, and we had a lot of discussions how you plan to lead. And I could say, first of all, we met with all the candidates, and at the same time, I would like to thank the previous town supervisor for doing the job when he was there, and we appreciate Tony for doing the job while he was here. And we met with Tony. Tony was doing the job for a long, long time. But when it came, as we know, that elections have consequences. And everybody sits down, everybody puts down to their taxpayers, the one who funds the position, and puts their thing, what they want to do, and says, and then the community makes a decision. We made a decision, and so far, we feel that we made a good decision. It was promises made, promises kept, and we'd like to thank each and every one of you for doing your job.
Please no calling out from the peanut gallery.
Now, I know that Tom said he's a resident of this town for 38 years. Yeah, no, I am a resident of this town for over 50 years. I came up here when I was 2 years old, okay? And this town is a beautiful town. It's very, very nice. A lot of changes happened throughout the town from when it started with a little tiny village and was one big town, and then it was a lot of things going on. And obviously, there was things people understand more, people understand less, and so far so good. With all the differences that we have, we're still one of the safest towns in the United States. And that's thanks to everybody who was running until now and from now further as well. Just to give a little explanation, because I work with the outside community a lot. I'm a paramedic for 30 years. Coming in to the town of Monroe at least 20 to 30 times a week to cover paramedic services for this town, for the outside community, because unfortunately the commercials don't have. So I deal with this community a lot. I work for the county. I'm an investigator for the medical examiner's office for over 17 years, and I'm a criminal investigator for the humane law enforcement. So I do a lot for the outside community. And for me, just if I can give a little explanation, because I think there's a difference in understanding what the word liaison means. Liaison is in federal government, liaison is in state government, liaisons are in town governments, liaisons are in law enforcement agencies, liaisons are all over the place. As is understandable that it's not the language that much, it's the culture differences. We have a class that we go around to law enforcement agencies, fire departments, town and villages to give a cultural diversity class to explain to them the cultural differences. In a town like this, where there's different cultures and different understanding, instead of having everybody bombarding the town with phone calls and with requests, what the town does is they take one person that will be able to translate and to explain the differences. I could right now put 10 things that none of you will know, but I would say none of you, but a lot of you won't understand about the community, what we do, how we run, their religion, and a lot of differences. And that makes a big difference when the town understands that and the neighbors understand that, so the town could try to maneuver in a way that everybody should be comfortable. And the prior supervisors, going back a long time, all of them had contact people. Maybe it wasn't called a liaison as a position, but everybody had their people to be there. Now, there's much more residents now in the town of Monroe than were before. Prior, when it was one town, obviously, there was a lot of liaisons. The town, the village officials, when the town officials were sitting together all the time discussing matters. When that split, there's two towns. Now there's a lot of residents from the community in the town. There's a lot of things that is very hard that each individual should call up the town day and night and start asking this. I need a shul, I need a...
There's someone in the audience asking why our emergency coordinator of the town of Monroe is receiving extra time, and the same way that Kevin Scully, who is also party to the town of Monroe. So I've yield my time. This is a town liaison, and I would like him to speak as the town liaison, as the emergency coordinator.
So I'm gonna be very short. I'm gonna be very short. But what I want to say, this is a benefit for each individual of this community, and I promise you, because I work with the outside community. When you're going to get to know us more, when you sit down and have conversations with us more.
The town supervisor is giving a town liaison more time. Yes, perception. We'll address that. If you are a town liaison with the town of Monroe, you can have more time. Sign up for one of our zoning, planning, or conservation commission.
So I just want to let you know that you will all be happy with what is happening over here. We see it, and you all see it soon. Thank you, and God bless you all, and God give you long health, good wealth for a long time, sitting on your positions, all of
And
you.
I want
Thank you.
to take a moment to congratulate Abe Fleur. I wanted to take a moment to thank Abe Fleur for his service as KJ EMS and the immense amount of time he takes saving lives for free for the Monroe community, and congratulate him on his formal appointment as the Town of Monroe Emergency Coordinator, who actually assisted me in putting Noreen McSweeney in an ambulance and getting her to the hospital.
Jacob Bickle, followed by Rick Colon.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Bickle. I live in town of Monroe and also live here almost 50 years in this neighborhood. We all know of this neighborhood. Town Monroe is a wonderful, wonderful place. I was communicating all the years in a wonderful, nice, positive manner with all the new incomers, the new town supervisors and the town hall and everybody. I want to thank so much, congratulations for the new town supervisor and the town people they just elected. We want to congratulate you. We are very happy that you came on here. I also want to tell you that we are very happy that you picked Shlomi to help out and to be so-called liaison. It's called communication. He's a wonderful communicator. It's going to be helpful very much for everybody. And it's, if you would know who Shlomi is, when you come into the village of Monroe between the Jewish-speaking, he's always available. He'll go for you. He will, anything you need, he will, with no pay. He's a volunteer. not just for the town of Monroe, it's a volunteer for everybody, and not just for Jewish people, it's also a volunteer. If you need something, ask Shlomi, take his number, and ask him if he will help you, he will do that. So I think this is a wonderful, wonderful thing you guys did that. And I live in County Road 105, and you guys talk about lights. A couple hundred of people is passing, it's pitch dark, kids, small children are walking from the house. I live on Old Country Road, which is very close to the State Police Road, and I would here publicly ask, if possible, this is not about lights, this is about life safety. When you go pass down my street over there, or Country Road 105, and you see small children, kids, they're walking to school early morning, in the evening, when it's pitch dark, it's really life-threatening. Come by, I invite you, please come by when it gets dark and take a look. I'm almost sure you guys love people. You want a safety. This is a safety matter. Come and see for yourself. You will see that this is very important to have lights. And thank you for making these lights. Please do a little more lights. It's very small money. I'll gladly pay more taxes for that if possible. But safety first. This is America. For us in America, we are giving away our life for somebody else. Little lights makes a big difference. A little sidewalks sometimes. So thank you so much. Congratulations. We want to see you all successful. Shlomi is just a beginning. You will see later how it's going to do more and better. Maybe more people. Yiddish speaking and English speaking sometimes is not, it's a bridge. Many people don't speak English. Many people in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rick Colon. Rick is the last speaker.
Bring down the house, Rick.
Thank God. I can't take sitting here much longer. But anyway, I used to be on the town board, and I can tell you, for 12 years of experience on that board, it's not easy no matter who's sitting there. This administration, the previous two, I've been on those administrations. Our community has grown very rapidly in the last 40 years. I know because I've been here. Okay? I make it my business that when I have people on my block, I communicate with them. I get new people moving in on the block, I communicate with them. I go over, I say hello. We just had another one Hasidic family move in on my block in my area. I went over and I said hello, not only to the husband, to the wife, to the whole family, to let them know that I live here, I'll communicate with you, and yes, we all work together here. I always want to make that the first line when they come on Berwyn Road. You now know somebody who's not Hasidim, who's not Jewish, and who's here to welcome you, and who will speak with you. That's part of the American way. That's part of the American Monroe way. And I feel that we should all try to work a little bit closer together in understanding on that. Goes a long way. I know that the Hasidic community also provides medics that we do not have, and they've saved a number of lives. I've known that from speaking to the people in the senior center as well. So not everything runs smoothly. There's always rough spots. There's always room for improvement. I always like to say, I don't believe in transparency, but I believe in clarity. And clarity means you get to explain what you're doing and make it clear on what you want to do. I appreciate everybody showing up here because it does show a definitive involvement in our home called Monroe. I thank you all. We may not always agree with each other, but sure as heck, we do try to keep this our home. Thank you.
That's all for public comment.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Valerie. Louis. Congratulations, you're the first. Break the ice.
Yeah, I'm usually the first person to speak. So tonight was interesting. We heard quite a bit from a lot of you folks. I want to thank Shlomi Landau for stepping up. Right? Come on, put your hands together. Come on, come on. You know, as a Puerto Rican, I know what it is to be discriminated against. I really do. And the fact that people are upset that we have a liaison is kind of hitting home for me, honestly. There's nothing wrong with that. Someone from the Hasidic community has stepped up. There's a language barrier. I speak Spanish, I don't speak Yiddish, right? And neither does anybody else on this board. So we needed someone to be that bridge, to be that gap. And once again, I thank Mr. Landau for stepping up. But I'm surprised. But I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised at the reaction. But this is a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's great for the community. It's great for us. We live together here. We do not live in silos. Okay? There's a lot of different cultures. There's a lot of friction. I come from the city, so I'm kind of used to this kind of stuff, right? I'm like the expert at friction. But no, I commend him and I thank him for stepping up. And like I said, I'm just surprised that people are just upset that there is a liaison. We needed someone like this, and thank God that we have one. Thank you.
Ms. Lewis.
I've lived in Monroe for over 40 years. I remember there were horses walking on Rye Hill Road. There was the Smith Farm, which is now the Briarcliff Estates, still had a few cows. Monroe has changed over the years. I am a first generation born here. My parents immigrated from Europe. They lost their homeland because of World War II. Everyone's gone through strife. Everyone needs to accommodate and learn how to live within the community that they moved to. My parents did not have a liaison. They went to language classes to learn English better. When they came here, they did not know. And I'm sure many of you here too can relate to that. I have no objections to communicating, learning about each other. I have an objection to not knowing about it until I find out in social media. That's my objection. I really hope communication starts better, and I really hope we learn to learn what the differences are and learn to accommodate to them. Somebody mentioned about the schools, that they pay taxes. Well, Catholics sent their kids to Catholic schools. Lutherans sent their kids to Lutheran schools. And they did pay school taxes. But I know there is a concern in the community that at some point, other school districts in Rockland County have experienced problems because, budgets get cut. And I can understand that for the community. So I hope communication improves. And Mr. Landau, maybe sometime we will talk one-on-one, but thank you for coming tonight. And I think everybody, I've listened to your concerns and I can understand them. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth, you can go ahead of me. Councilman Stevens.
So I appreciate everyone coming out tonight. I'd like to first address early on in the meeting, it was alleged that my inflammatory comments are what got us here. And I want to make it clear that when I chose to be transparent and provide clarity to our residents, I was incredibly careful about my tone and making sure that I was providing you with factual information. What was occurring was that residents had seen a news story that discussed how, with this liaison position, that there was a promise of additional streetlights. That was then being conflated by our residents also to the recent appointment to the Board of Assessment Review, where residents were trying to find official information on what is this liaison role looking through our town board agendas, and they couldn't find it. And it was leading to some public upsetness. I found out about it on social media, just like Mary mentioned before. We did talk, and we reached out to the supervisor. Unfortunately, the response was that we were wasting her time when we asked for clarity. And so that led us to just look into it on our own. What has been inflammatory is by simply helping the community understand that this was not a board decision. It was our supervisor's decision. She does have the authority to do it. But perception does matter. I have spoken with my Hasidic neighbors on this specific subject. And I see no problem with a wonderful volunteer like Mr. Landau. I know he's a beloved and respected member of the community, helping with communication and understanding cultural differences. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The problem is that when asked what his position does, it was communicated via email that it's publicizing initiatives, needs, and achievements, that those are the primary roles. And that is actually a political relationship. And so I've explained to my Hasidic neighbors that I don't agree with that part of the liaison role. It's okay to have volunteers that support different community members, but it's the political nature and how it's led to a perception of tipping the scales. Just as much as we need to respect our mixed community. And I agree, Abe, getting to know, all of our neighbors. We also have to respect our non-Hasidic neighbors that might feel like they don't have the same support. And so honestly, when it was not communicated effectively and clearly from the beginning, just real quick, because
Have another minute, because these students.
because it came the way it came from different articles, I actually think that drives a greater divide. I think that poor communication actually increases anti-Semitism. And so I agree with Mary, we need to hope for better communication moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm going to start with addressing communication, particularly as the youngest supervisor ever, and also a woman. And I want to address the fact that 2 members of the board are not being transparent in the way that they have recently communicated with me. And in politics, as one learns very quickly, relationships and communication are important. And those who you can rely on in an accountable, steady, and non-emotional, logical framework when you need to communicate are the people who you keep around you when things crop up. If someone is having emotional reactions to basic conversations, to budgetary conversations, to emergencies, you're not going to keep them as central to operations. And I've tried to keep that as professional as possible as the supervisor. It's really not a good look to air, quote unquote, dirty laundry. I've tried to give people credit where credit is due, but because these gaps in communication that were caused by raising one's voice about the checkerboard, coming into my office at inappropriate times about the checkerboard when we've made our decision, making comments about, how I conduct myself. It's not the time when the staff here know how hard I'm working. The staff here are wonderful. Even people who I didn't previously get along with as a council person have seen the dedication that I have put in from my own life to show up and pull through even when other board members have been unreliable. Once these discussions and gaps of communication come out and they're directed at me, I feel it's more than fair to respond with the fact that I have not been able to rely on certain board members as much as others and have had to go out and get community liaisons, event coordinators, etc., to address the claims that this is a political appointment in the same way that we hire an event coordinator or a comms director or any of that nature. We are now having a person who volunteers to publicize basically to address the title, the Jewish liaison, the Jewish news in town. It's actually modeled after the Attorney General's, as I've stated earlier. His name is Joel Lefkowitz, and the Attorney General has the exact same title. So we could change the title if it's upsetting people, but the meaning of it is still the same. She has a Jewish liaison. This is what we modeled it after. He's publicizing specific news that are important to that community, and that just happens to be streetlights. That, of course, I promised streetlights. I promised everybody streetlights. I put it on my palm card that I was going to give streetlights. They're about they're about $15 when electricity is already on the pole, and we are not expanding much costs. We have a budgeted line, and the supervisor's office has always been unilaterally responsible, even according to the clerk's office, for streetlights. If you need a streetlight, please ask me for some streetlights. We have a solar farm, and we would love to use the additional $300,000 of light credit, but we do have to be wary of that $15 a month burn charge that they're charging us, and I am watching those numbers. As someone commented, said Seven Springs is an extremely dangerous place, and they have historically wanted to leave the town of Monroe. We have always feared that that population would agree to annexation, that they would go into their own village, and their biggest complaint has been that their needs, their streets, their garbage pickup, their lighting, the lack of sidewalks, all of their public works has been ignored. If people don't want annexation, we have to serve the population who stays in Monroe, no matter who they are. And if I promised one community streetlights, it's the community of Monroe as a whole, not one sect over another, not one religion over another. Again, if you want a streetlight, just reach out. We have literally had one other request for a streetlight in the entirety that I have been supervisor. So that is not a conspiracy. There was no association with the liaison position and the streetlights. They had nothing to do with each other, except that the liaison that we retained as a volunteer is responsible for publicizing news and events the same way that the secretary to the supervisor is responsible for publishing news and events related to the administration. When we put out a constant contact newsletter, when we get that up and running, when we had that up and running, no one ever, except for me and Mary, complained that that was a political event when the same 5 people appeared in said newsletter specifically relating to elections, and none of the other board members or their tasks or their initiatives, and none of the other boards, commissions, committees were included in that newsletter except these same 5 inner political circle people. So to say that a curated newsletter is some kind of election engineering and some kind of backroom promise, I will promise anyone who asks right now that I will look into lighting on their street. Someone came in and said that they have no say, and I felt that that was ironic. I think it was LaPola, when he ran for assembly and asked for the same block vote at a state level, and he was standing at a, LaPola, at a town board meeting. You have no say when you say the block vote is the one that dictates things, and the block vote would rule at each election. And the community members here have shown up and have a say, and you're having a say right now in a classy way on the way out, storming out after asking for the block vote for the state assembly position for the 99th district. So when you say you have no say, you definitely got your 3 minutes, and
And you didn't get the block
it's
vote.
definitely not assembly member LaPola, that's all I know. So let's see. Dory Hool brought up dedicated parkland being motioned to table. Our prior council actually addressed this, that Rye Hill being dedicated as parkland was not necessary, as it was already implied as dedicated parkland, and we made the conscious decision not to elect to dedicate any further parkland because the remaining portion is tax exempt and it is already dedicated for the town of Monroe specific use. So what we can do with that is build a police station, a new highway garage, all of those buildings and utilities related to the town. We do not wish to take an $18.5 million I'm going to call it a backdoor deal, and lose even more money and not be able to capitalize on that project and give more value to the town, such as a community pool, because we dedicated it as parkland when the remaining, 90% is already dedicated as permanent parkland. This is the third or fourth time that Dory Houle has brought up a Supreme Court case saying that I can't block her. If she wants to friend request me, she can. But the Supreme Court case already ruled, Linked v. Freed, that it's an established personal page and it has no jurisdiction over unofficial pages by people calling themselves by their earned elected titles. The title belongs to me, not the town. And she had no problem using the Town of Monroe logo when she actually ran for state senate as her backdrop. As far as Round Lake, I want to thank residents for publicizing that and crediting me for going out there. We do have the same building inspector team that we've always had. Ben's been with us for 20 years. We are keeping an eye on it, and everything that is going on at Round Lake so far is within the legal clarified definition of landscaping, maintenance. They're putting up a chain link fence. Basically, we've had a building inspector out there for the first portion almost every single day. We've had our Conservation Commission out there. We've consulted our chair of the planning board, and everyone so far is comfortable. No one is exactly happy with not knowing what the application will be. We understand that is watershed and wetlands, and we've done a lot of work behind the scenes in mapping exactly where the stream crossings are and what our requirements will be moving forward. Right now, it is just a driveway. We have always, and many towns do the same thing, we do not really have an extensive permit process for a driveway, but the second that it moves into a category beyond basic landscaping, groveling, clearing of dead brush, clearing of debris, cutting anything live, if it's even more than 10 trees, it involves the planning department. And I think we all know Bonnie Franson, she's extremely thorough. And she's doing a great job, and we've discussed this, and she has no problems with what's going on, and no one who's within, the scope of the town and in direct control of this has a problem with what's going on. And yeah, I'm just gonna say that I want to thank everybody. I do want to thank everybody, good or bad comments, because I think Rick Colon is right. I know, and I see it as somebody who's overseeing everybody. We all want the same thing, and it is hard when people talk past each other and make accusations about transparency and clarity and factual information and perception, when there is obviously just a lot going on during the transition. And results show themselves. Like, there isn't an application in front of the board for a massive housing development on Round Lake. There isn't an application at all. We're watching it. So as people see, there is no destruction going on, and whether that takes a day, a week, a month, a year, we've got time. I just ask that people stop taking the opportunity in the natural communication gaps that exist during a busy transition to politically fan the flames, because we are all on this ride together, and your neighbors want the same thing in Monroe. The majority of your neighbors want the same thing in Monroe as you do, and that's why we're here. So I still preserve Monroe. I still built that by myself and brought a team on with me, and there might be issues with that team dynamic, but when there are issues with that team dynamic, I go on solo and commit to that. So that's all I can really say. Again, thank you for everybody's time. I hope that answered. Oh, thank you. Sorry, Carol, I just forgot. To address Carol Hawkshurst, she just said off mic, could I address the comprehensive plan? So there's only $40,000 in the line for the comprehensive plan, and we extensively discussed this with our planning board chairwoman, Bonnie Franson, who also works for Nelson Voorhees Pope, and Max Stack, her brother, who's our planner, and that is way too little money. And the board just voted not to continue our Millennium Grant contract, which is literally the only way that we would get grant money to complete said project. So Bonnie and I had hoped that we were going to get extremely detailed mapping, even including vernal pools and soil overlays and everything like that. That costs like over $100,000. So
Just to get it started, I thought that that was a good starting point, and I know we don't want to go back and forth, but I don't understand, $40,000 wouldn't even be enough to get it started? Some research, some stuff?
we have a comprehensive plan that was adopted in 2017, and $40,000 really wouldn't advance a new comprehensive plan in any meaningful way.
Just the start of it. I mean, it's a whole year until we get a new budget, right? Or less than a year now. So that's.
They're very expensive, and the people that we pay hourly to do the planning work are also very expensive, so I would have to check what that would get us. It might cover certain additions, but again, just the basics that we were quoted from Bonnie 2 years ago, I believe at this point, it was over $100,000, and that's why they have these grants, is to supplement, and for some reason, the board just voted to cripple the town's grant operations, so.
Not till next week.
Okay, great, I'm glad. She said we're going to
We can
discuss
vote again
it
it next
next
week.
week.
Yeah, and as a board, if you guys could just, all look into that, because I think it's important.
It is, it's what we ran on, I agree. We definitely need to do it, and actually, the deadlines for that, one of them was already passed for the Greenway, and those are right now. So I'm surprised and shocked that after the years of service for the town from Dave Jenkins, that I have to go back and tell him that, you know, we're not sure whether we're going to renew with the town when we just had an extensive grant meeting and sat down and gave all of the objectives from the town, including a comprehensive plan.
And you were talking about a committee too, remember? We were talking about forming a committee of people.
Yes, a committee of people who work on the comp plan.
Not just the town board, sorry, but residents too.
Is your name Carol? Yes, can you come up to the podium so that people can hear you? You know, there's people watching, they're going to be watching this later on, they're going to wonder what you're saying.
Thanks, Louis.
Yeah, it's on still, right? Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. No, I was just saying to have a committee with residents involved, which we've talked about, because I think a say from everybody is important. And again, I don't know that everybody knows or understands what a comprehensive plan is, and I think it's important maybe if that could be explained, and then what the committee could consist of, at least to get things going.
Right.
And
And
I
I
think it's way
just
overdue.
looked up the Hudson River Valley Greenway Council Compact Planning Grants Program for
That's
fiscal
quarterly.
year 2026.
Quarterly.
The due date is November 6, 2026.
It's quarterly.
The date it was noticed was 3/10/2026, and it says pending decision to apply. So,
It is available multiple times a year, and we missed the first.
yeah, but it goes till November.
Okay.
Anyway, I agree. Again, one of my biggest platform points, streetlights and comprehensive plan, and I
And I
really
hope
do need a
police too.
committee.
I know I didn't get a chance to talk about that, but the police force, something serious happened where I've lived here all my life, many generations. I know a lot of you guys know that. I don't know that you do, but many generations have lived here in Monroe. Pretty serious crime happened at my house. And honestly, the lack of police presence is a big part of the issue, which has been brought up here. And I know you were talking about getting an IMA, with the village. Maybe next time we could talk about how that's progressing, because I did get cut short previously, so I just wanted.
It's
that was
fine.
the other thing
Anybody
I-
who's stayed this long, I don't think they mind listening to just the nitty-gritties. We barely have time a lot of the time to get into the details of such things, and then people complain that there's a communication gap, but I don't think
But
many
these are
people-
things that, we've been talking about, and it's carried over, and I think it's important,
So with the village IMA, because people are curious, and I felt it was addressed. So what happened is there was no budgeted monies at all
Right.
for police. And the proposal to add about $25,000 to $50,000 from Paul Arteta was not included. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Was not included in the budget either. So not even a study was budgeted for. And contingency was cut, and as you heard,
So that extra money you said wasn't true?
not.
So there's no extra money to do anything as far as research or anything? Because it's like the Wild West, the traffic and the speeding and the reckless driving. And I heard about the streetlights and the safety. Well, the people driving, it's very reckless and very dangerous. And it was never like this, and it's getting worse because we also have an increased population in the area. So of course there's going to be some congestion, all that, but there's no one to monitor it, and I think residents know that.
Yep. For this year, unfortunately, we're relegated to having very little speed enforcement. I took it upon myself to go and speak to the new captain of the State Trooper Barracks. He is waiting on if anybody out in the public or in the audience has any highly trafficked, speed zone streets. They are willing to sit and take that more into account than we were previously informed. That's just something that he volunteered. But it is a problem.
Okay, I appreciate that. And there has been a lot of this brought up for quite some time.
And I've really
And it's
been
dangerous for
pushing it.
kids who are going to be run down by school buses or cars that are not following the rules of safety, traffic safety.
So, yep, I don't want to continue going on, but I appreciate you just summarizing everything that we, have been faced with as a new board with our hands tied with the budget, and we are looking for creative solutions, and this is why I ask the board to reconsider about grants, because there are grants available for police studies. There are grants available for comprehensive plans, because if you host a committee, it's not just all free. We did this with the Village of Monroe. They hosted a comprehensive plan, open space plan, combination, redo. And what happens is we invite the public in, they give their surveys and feedback, and we have someone overseeing it, Max Stock. And they then take that and tabulate it and translate it into a community-oriented
But can't
plan.
that start, though,
We
Supervisor?
can't pay for it. That's the thing. We could see what we can do.
But just to have residents and conversation, just to get it started?
Absolutely. But the thing is then we would miss out on the professionals who are paid high rates to do that data collection, and then what happens when, okay, we're not able to actualize that study, and it takes another year, and that is no longer up to date. But I hear you, and I'm equally frustrated, and we are looking for creative solutions to begin.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to make a motion to close tonight's meeting at 9:22 p.m., May 18th, 2026.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.